NASA. I'm Annie, and we're reporting into our IPO3 track. And she will be indicating the articles.
Any questions?
No.
Good luck. Thank you. Okay, we are now going to perform a critique for Annie and NASA. As some of y'all may have recognized, this will be the most unusual looking German Shepherd you've ever seen. However, I would just like to say, as just a joke. Okay.
No offense taken.
I would just like to say that my trip here this weekend and my time away from my 11-year-old daughter and my wife and whatever else I was supposed to be doing this weekend is worthwhile because of what you just did.
Thank you.
The scent pad was approached in a proper manner. You know what? We could go lay that track. Okay.
Where'd you go?
Me and you have identical scores, I know.
Yes.
So if you would like to go take care of that, that'll just make it a little bit quicker for us. Took the scent pad with a deep nose, calmly, and with commitment. In fact, had a very good, had registered the characteristics of the footsteps well before getting to the scent pad because NASA began tracking right from the edge of the dirt, and that was pleasant to watch. You don't always see that, but that was just really pleasant. Took the scent pad, started down the footsteps, and as everybody could see, each individual footstep got sniffed. You don't often see that. Normally the dog just kind of courses down through the odor of the footsteps that are coming out of the ground, and continued at a nice, comfortable walking pace. So here's my question for you. Why do we say that we want the dog to have a comfortable walking pace as it tracks? Anyone? Well, I'll tell you why. What you're watching in this sport is a watered-down version of police work. And between 1904 and 1907, when all these rules and everything were being prepared by the German Shepherd people, they took a cue from the police. The police want their dogs to track just like this. And the reason is, not all police officers are young and fit like me. And if you have to track a half mile or a mile and a half, you don't want to outrun your backup officers. Also, if you have to encounter someone and there's a gunfire exchange, you don't want to encounter them after a energetic jog where everybody is. And so the purpose for slow, calm tracking is because the police officers need to make sure that if they encounter someone that's hostile, that they can do what they need to do without being affected by the rigors of the track. Now, isn't that interesting? That's why we say slow and calm. Now, the IPO rules have evolved to say that the nice, slow, calm track, that's optimal, but also equally important is accuracy. So if the dog is going that speed, but with tension on the leash, that's fine. But still, the accuracy of the track is the most important thing. So the accuracy of your dog on this track in the first leg was 100%. Each individual step was smelled. Did anybody ever tell you why in this sport the footsteps are what the dog should be detecting rather than just the general odor like bloodhounds do? Anybody ever tell you that? I'll tell you why. There's a bunch of footsteps out there that police could take a plaster cast off of. And I myself in my career have an experience where a cast was made and a pair of shoes was found and a conviction occurred. And so tracking footsteps is optimal rather than, this is not a test of can you go 4 or 5 miles and stay within 100 yards of the track or so. This is a test, can this dog follow the footsteps of the track layer? So NASA continued down the first leg and indicated on the first article in a textbook fashion. And as I spoke earlier, if any of you were watching, before NASA, when she restarted him after the article, before NASA had made it all the way up, NASA was already looking for the next step. Remember that little technicality I talked about? And we were watching for it to see, okay, is he going to do this? Because that's integral now. Because already I was looking at the track and I'm going, oh yeah, oh yeah. It's looking good, it's looking good. And so he did that and continued past the article to the first turn, and step for step for step worked through the turn. It was beautiful to watch. I'm sorry that you couldn't be out there with me. I was the benefactor of a beautiful sight out there.
Can you comment on her foot position, NASA's foot position, while she was scanning?
Oh yes, the rules say, in fact this is a new IPO rule, that the dog must be allowed to check from left to right if it feels like it needs to. My footsteps, I'm a little short guy, my footsteps are 30 inches apart. And that's a half a body length for a dog. So we have to allow for the dog to check, is there a footstep? Is there a turn here? Is there a turn there? Something, a couple of times down the first leg, there was something that caused NASA to want to check right, check left. But NASA's feet did not leave the footsteps. When NASA checked left, left foot went out to support her as she smelled for that possible turn. No, but the right foot still was on the footsteps. And that's a super technicality, but again, at a big trial, you gotta have a way to have a number 1 and a number 100 and not 8 or 9 ties in there, okay? And did that down the first leg, but did not repeat that same behavior in anywhere in the rest of the track. Made it down the second leg, footstep for footstep, came to the second turn and was spot on step for step around the turn. Continued down the third leg until coming to the second article and dropped perfectly. There was no touching, no bothering. And again, once again, on receiving the command, started sniffing for the next step before making it all the way up, and continued on around the next turn onto the fourth leg and was performing wonderfully. Now we're out in the middle here, and so there's a little bit of a visual distraction if NASA is easily distractible. But in spite of us being out there and whispering to each other, NASA was steadfast on the footsteps, continued through the next turn, step for step for step. And all the way down the last leg with the identical speed of the first leg, continued down into the last article and was and indicated on the last article correctly as identified by the handler at the start. And so as you can see on my little diagram, I am only justified in awarding you 100 points today.
Linda,